Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jack Farmer. He's Jimmy Korderas. He's Justin LaBar. Triple J reforming like Voltron, and we are brought to you by HelloFresh. Spring has sprung, and the less time you spend in the kitchen, the better. That's why some of HelloFresh's delicious restaurant quality meals come together in just 20 minutes. Get 16 free meals plus 3 gifts with code INC16 at HelloFresh.com/INC16. You definitely got to take advantage of that. All sorts of stuff to cover today, fellas. But before we get into it, how are you doing? How are you, Justin?
I'm good. It's nice summer weather. We're on the road to SummerSlam. It seems like it's never a boring day to look at the wrestling news. So that keeps me entertained. So what could I complain about?
Yeah, and before we get into that news, Jimmy, how are you doing as everyone settles in and finds their seats? How are you doing this? How was your weekend? How have you been since Monday?
Yeah, I've been good. You know, it's just this eclectic weather up here in Canada, here in Toronto. It's very up and down. We're right now getting a little bit of rain with a possible, thunder boom boom coming up. But hey, my grass needs it. I know, Justin, we were talking about this the other day. They keep forecasting rain. Like I say to my wife, I should have been a meteorologist because it's the only job in the world where you can be wrong 90% of the time and still keep your job.
I tell you, I went to the beach this weekend. I was so excited. I live in Southern California. You can never get it wrong. Overcast, like as soon as I got there. And as soon as I get in the car to leave, it just clouds parted, beautiful day. I was like, how dare you, sunny Southern California weather, you.
Jimmy, to be fair, you can also be a sports entertainment referee and 90% of the time somehow miss that hot tag and still get hired to referee a match the next week.
Justin's got you there.
You mean you've seen me miss a few hot tags and stuff like that?
I even saw you count somebody 1, 2, 3 when they cheated.
No, see, you're gonna have to send me the link to those.
I will send you the tape in the mail.
Next, you're gonna say someone tripped someone while they were running the ropes and Jimmy didn't notice it.
Oh, come on, nah.
Jimmy's got eyes in the back of his head. Never missed a call in his life.
No, but that's the only place I got hair, so that's why I can't see back there.
Touche. You win this round, Jimmy. Well, let's dive into the news. It's as anyone who's been following pro wrestling news knows that it's not very good news lately. It's been pretty bad, but this is a news site, so we talk about it and we report it. The Wall Street Journal, there's talk of the wrestling world continues to be the Wall Street Journal's Friday report that former WWE CEO and chairman Vince McMahon had paid more than $12 million to cover up various affairs and cases of sexual misconduct, including a $7.5 million pact with a former wrestler who alleged that Mr. McMahon coerced her into sexual acts and then demoted her and ultimately declined to renew her contract in 2005 after she resisted further sexual encounters, according to people familiar with the matter. This comes on the heels of a Wall Street Journal report last month that claimed McMahon had paid $3 million to a former WWE employee to keep an alleged affair between them private. Justin, on Monday morning, the two reporters stopped by Busted Open Radio, one of your stomping grounds, to talk about the stories. Among other things, they were asked if this is the end of the allegations, and they said that they think it's probably not done yet. So much like this kind of stuff, I think a lot of people expected when this all started, more is to come. That's kind of what they alluded to here on Busted Open Radio.
Yeah, the two reporters, Joe Palazzolo and Ted Mann of the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, for them to even kind of give that answer, is enough to say that they probably know that they have another story that they're in early stages for, or they're doing interviews or doing some digging to piece together. I think if they had any doubt, they probably would have gave a much more vague or definitive answer that towards the no. And the scary thing for, I don't know, it's scary, but the unfortunate thing is, each one of these stories and investigative pieces that are coming out on Vince, the stakes keep getting elevated. The accusations keep getting grander. First it started with, the guys had extramarital affairs over the years. I'm not condoning that, but at the end of the day, there's nothing illegal in that. It's just at the end of the day, that's just a bad look, and somebody's personal life being put out there. Then we go to the next step, and the most recent is extramarital affairs, and also with people that he talent, and that he's using the relationship as a tool, as a leverage, and that so now it's more the higher money figure. So and that would be something you could deem as illegal when using your, if it can ever be proven true, if that's what happened, so now it just makes you wonder, okay, if they have another one, well, what's the next level that this could go to?
Yeah, and as they said later on, sometimes in similar scandals elsewhere, there are people who have something to share who become a little bit more emboldened to talk about it when some of the first coverage has happened. We're still working to figure out if there are such people out there, which tells me that they, at the very least, expect that there's more people who are going to be speaking out soon in regards to this. Something about, even just as I was reading this, Jimmy, as far as from the WWE side of things, we know when the original story broke, Vince McMahon stepped down as CEO. He's still in charge of creative, etc. But it's interesting. We hear that, and sometimes you think, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just for show. But just reading this article, it implies it almost like he's not there. If you don't follow wrestling closely, the report, former WWE CEO and chairman Vince McMahon, it feels like he's not even with the company anymore, which kind of justifies that choice in a lot of ways, I think.
Well, it's kind of like a perception is reality in a lot of people's eyes, and the way they state it, like you said, makes it sound like he has kind of stepped away, when in fact he still is a big part of their creative process, and everything still passes through him, is my understanding. But like Justin said earlier, of course, allegations, nothing is proven yet. We will wait and see after things materialize and see where they go from there. But that is the big difference with this latest accusation, is the fact that and not that I'm condoning it, please, I don't want people to misread this. God forbid a wrestling fan misunderstands what I'm going to say here. I'm wording it wrong, but at least the previous accusations were two consenting adults performing something that may be immoral, but not illegal. But these latest charges are completely different and take a different tone, and that's where now you're running into a little bit of an issue here. And hopefully it doesn't affect someone like a Stephanie McMahon and her future with the company because of her connection to her dad.
To the point of Vince and the former CEO, and to your point, Jack, that to a man on the street, Vince just obviously isn't involved anymore. We of course know that that's not the case. I kind of imagine Vince right now. It's like that sequence in the movie Casino, based upon the mob running Vegas, and Robert De Niro's character. He's not technically allowed to be running a casino, but he just keeps changing. This week he's the food and beverage director. Next week he's the hospitality and entertainment manager. Right. Vince is just going to keep submitting new. He's going to have just new titles, new business cards. This week he's the creative consultant on wins and losses. It's just creative
consultant. I want to see him head of ring crew.
Yeah.
I want to see him as head of the ring crew.
That's just where we're gonna get to, just to keep. He's the most powerful person in the building with the most mediocre title.
He just has a ton of different business. That sounds like a character on a WWE program. A guy with just a bunch of. That sounds like R-Truth. Now that I think about it,
maybe he has all kinds of certifications as well. We don't know.
Oh, that's a funny look at it. But as we get into the show, I do want to thank everyone who's joining us here tonight, whether it be Deadpool Party, King Rail, Michael Menesis, Jeff Lopez, George Bartley, Jax is in the chat, the Tornado, Anthony Y, Dylan Matthews, the Jeff King, and as I'm scrolling up, Alicia A and Rocky and JP and Bernie and Night One and many, many more. Thank you guys so much for joining us live here in the chat, and thanks for chatting along with us and hanging out on Monday. Also, thank you if you're watching or listening afterwards. Give us a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, a 5-star review. Leave a nice little comment when you leave a 5-star review. Those are always good to see. Yeah, say something nice about us in particular in there. I like to read those, and then I like to say to myself, "Yeah, did it."
Is that a Dave Meltzer 5-star review?
No, I was thinking more of a 5, like
that's a 7 now.
Like more like a Booker thing, a Jim Rooney.
A Jim Rooney.
Yeah.
Jim Rooney.
Hey,
that's how you lost the hair. You did too many Jim Roonies on the canvas.
Exactly, the spinning up, and over. That just
it was worth it, Jimmy. It was worth.
It's just too bad we couldn't get the Taker Rooney. That would have been incredible. But there was a lot of heat for that.
Well, this episode, as mentioned at the top, it's brought to us by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonable recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Now, I actually did something fun with my last set. I got the vegetarian options because I'm a true what do you call a shill, I guess, for this company. I want to try it all. I want to know what I'm pitching here. And I had the Alpine mushroom and Swiss panini, all vegetarian, and it was incredible. I was blown away by it. I was like, I'll be honest, I was thinking I'm gonna have to suffer through this and have this veggie only thing. But it was actually really, really good. Their veggie options were incredible. Have you guys tried them? I also did this black bean and pepper quesadillas. Also really good. I haven't tried their shawarma yet, but
not their vegetable ones. I haven't tried their vegetable ones yet, but we did the chicken. We did some other ones. My wife and I, where I turned from ref to chef, and I love it. I think it's great.
It's so it makes me feel like a real chef, right, Justin?
Yeah, it's nice because you're right. Like you can try the different, whether you want to go vegetarian one week, whether you want to go more heavy on the meat. And I'll be honest, this is another cool thing too. Is like obviously right now, like everything costs a ton of money, right? I mean, every grocery, if you're buying things a la carte, every trip to the gas tank, every flight. So it's like if you are trying to like have a vacation or a staycation, but especially if you're having a vacation, obviously it's fun to eat out. But like if you are staying someplace, especially if you're staying someplace and you have the access to a kitchen, like if you're staying in that kind of, if you're at an Airbnb or a townhouse or condo, these things work great to travel and just have some meals planned out. Especially if you're traveling, you got family, you got kids, what have you. You just want to have some things planned out and not have to eat out nonstop. This is a nice little touch that I found. This is like the first summer I've been as all in on HelloFresh as I am. And again, whether I've had little staycations over the last few months and just not have to run to the grocery store or, I love grilling on my grill, but, just again, if you got to mix it up, if it's a bad weather day, this HelloFresh really, because they meal plan everything for you, have all the ingredients nice and packaged. It travels well, so as long as you refrigerate or freeze. So that's just one more thing. If you're looking to get the most bang out of a buck, you get these meals sent to you. They give you the recipe. You can alter if you're that culinary advanced. You can do some alterations if you can do it. But again, it's great to have that, spend that money and have it all there purchased for you. It's high quality products, everything from the protein all the way down to the spices and the condiments. So again, just something to think about if you're traveling or looking to try to contain and better plan meals. This is a real great way to go and get the most for your money.
Yeah, I like that. I'm sorry to jump in here, Jack, but
go for it.
I didn't even think of that. What a great idea, because we have relatives who have like a condo in Florida that we can use every once in a while. But that would be great. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, like when you go, when you travel, like I mean, again, and again, it's fun when you travel places to try, and that's great. But again, if you're staying somewhere, you're not going to eat every single meal out, or at least you're going to maybe want to start with breakfast there. So it's like you got to run to the grocery store, you got to do the whole big thing. But if you come planned with your HelloFresh bags, and they have the meal cards, and if you have a working kitchen, I mean, that just saves hassle right there. And again, you've already purchased your meals, so it just, I don't know, it seems like a no-brainer. I'm getting ready to do that currently here on an upcoming trip. So
cool.
Well, and you talk about those trips. If you're going away for the summer, you can actually update your delivery address and enjoy HelloFresh at your vacation destination with just one click. Plans are flexible, so they work with your changing schedule with foolproof step-by-step recipes, meaning a joyful cooking experience and a stress-free summer. Plus, HelloFresh cuts back on the time spent in the kitchen with meals ready in around 30 minutes or less. Go to HelloFresh.com/INC16 and use code INC16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/INC16 using code INC16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. I still don't know what the free gifts are. I never got them. So someone here, make sure to get them and then tell me what the free gifts are.
There you go.
How dare you, HelloFresh? Give me my free gifts.
Is it? Can you gift a meal to somebody? Is that what it is?
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
I think you can gift a meal.
Oh.
I'm gonna
Try to get them
myself.
turned on. Try to get them turned on to HelloFresh.
There you go.
But 16 free meals. I mean, how do you beat that? But it's like I said, even the vegetarian ones have just knocked it out of the park. They taste incredible, and then of course they feel lighter because it's veggie. But good stuff. Before we get into the show, we got a super chat, by the way, for 206. Terry Allen Jr. asked, Jimmy, are you a soft-spoken guy?
Soft-spoken? I don't know what you're talking about. Soft-spoken. Oh, I guess for the most part, you could say kind of, sort of, but depends. Ask my wife, and she'll tell you whether I'm soft-spoken or not.
Terry, are you in the United States? 206 is I just ask. It's kind of a random number, but
yeah.
appreciate the super chat. We got Issa, by the way, in the house. NYC Demon Diva in the house. Shout out to her. Also, Peter in the house as well. Good to see you, buddy. Let's chat about this pro wrestling show we call WWE Monday Night Raw. I call this the friends hanging out episode because we saw a bunch of people hanging out together. But we start with Brock Lesnar coming out saying he's going to slaughter the tribal hog, and Paul Heyman comes out and tells us that this match is one that favors Brock, but Roman's going to shove his hand up Brock's butt. Nice, what he said. Theory comes out and says that he'll be the new youngest champ before Alpha Academy circles the ring and then get hog slaughtered by Brock Lesnar. Jimmy, just to kick things off, are you still into Brock versus Roman?
I'm into it in the sense that I'm very curious to see how they handle this last man standing match. I mean, it sounds like a finality of some kind, and logic would dictate this type of match would fall perfectly into if someone were to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, and having Theory come out and teasing that he is planning to cash in at SummerSlam this year, because they're going to beat the living hell out of each other, and and people are coming up with different scenarios. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't want to see it happen. I want to see Theory milk that briefcase and tease the fact that he's going to cash it in there, but not tease it. I want it to play along, because if he manages to cash in, I'm just saying, what if he manages to cash in at SummerSlam? Then where do you go from there? You can't take the title off him quickly and make him that quote unquote transitional champion, because that just kills all the momentum that he has, in my opinion. So I think him teasing the cash in is a better way to go, and milk it for as long as he possibly can.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of him running away from Roman Reigns for the next few months, trying to duck and dodge the tribal chief. But you bring up a good point about him cashing in. And Justin, I want to ask you about this. They've been talking about how Theory is the youngest U.S. champ, youngest this, youngest that. And if he wins, he'd be the youngest unified champion, whatever we're calling it these days. Do you think that kind of adds a little bit more of a threat to him? Because they can only really give him the shot once. They only have one shot to make him the youngest. Do you think that kind of makes it seem like he might actually do it?
Sure. And probably, I don't know what the exact age cutoff is of when his birthday is, and who's next in line, and probably Randy Orton, actually, in terms of age of winning. But yeah, I mean, I think they know it's going to happen. I think it's probably going to happen. I don't think he's going to have an unsuccessful cash in. Let me put it that way. Unless something crazy happens, injury, suspension, massive fallout in political favor. I'd imagine when he does finally, he might even tease cash. He might even tease at SummerSlam, and the two big men might beat the hell out of him before he gets to, who knows. But I think when he does finally cash in and that ref rings that bell, he's probably going to be successful. So I have no problem with them teasing it. But like Jimmy, I don't want to see it quite yet. And knowing what we know, knowing they have the big show overseas in Europe, Labor Day weekend, I believe it is, and then Saudi shows behind it. I just don't see it with only one world title, Roman not carrying a world title. So that alone, I just don't see Theory cashing in successfully right now. So it makes me intrigued. How do they? How is this finale of this last man standing of these two guys who have been the rivalry of this decade, of the past decade. So interested in that. I will say something else I liked besides seeing Brock just out there sharing screen time with new fresh talent like Theory, like Alpha Academy. It's amazing. Brock's there by himself cutting his own promos now as Cowboy Brock, and he certainly is a little more loose and it's less pressure than when he had to be a beast incarnate. But it's amazing how good Paul Heyman is that Paul Heyman was essentially cutting a promo reminding you how deadly Brock Lesnar can be while doing it from the perspective of the advocate for the tribal chief. Right. It was really kind of a masterful way that he did what he would normally do for Brock while standing opposite of Brock.
But he put him over huge in that promo, and that speaks to the, like you said, the genius of Paul Heyman, the way he can get both guys over and make you want to make you curious as to, hey, is he going to jump ship? Is he going to stick with Brock or stick with Roman and jump? You know what I mean? It was done masterfully, I thought.
I think that Paul Heyman is one of the best to ever do it on the microphone. I mean, he may not have the Rock kind of electricity and that kind of thing, but as far as finding a way to make a match seem like must see, I don't know if there's anyone who's as good as him at making me think like I have to see this match. Because I'll be honest, going into it, I was like I love Brock Lesnar, I love Roman Reigns, but I was a little bit like I've seen this a million times in the past few years. I'm kind of over it. But man, every time he talks about it, I'm like, oh, well, this is going to be the big one. I got to see it this time, He's so good at it. He's just
absolutely.
I think second to none. I will say, this is a little nitpick of me. I don't like Theory's finisher. I feel like he needs a better finisher. I'm not a big fan of that. It feels like it's supposed to be like a TKO, but he hits him with the knee instead. Just not. Maybe it just needs to warm up on me, but I don't know. It feels like a setup move more than a.
If he can hit it on everybody, and if he can do it quick, that's always my that's my preference. Can't not be able to do it to half the roster, and it can't be something that's. I mean, especially if you're going to cash in, it can't be something that's going to take 25 seconds to set up. You got to be able to grab them and do it.
Yep.
That's why the Stone Cold Stunner was such a beautiful finish.
I was gonna say that's like a power bomb or something where like it doesn't matter if they're already beat up. That. But even this power bomb is pretty quick.
He can't. But yeah, he's 6'2". He's not going to power bomb.
I know.
He's not going to power bomb Brock Lesnar.
I'm just a fan of power bombs, so I like a good power bomb. Someone who did not have a power bomb once in their match was Judgment Day and the Mysterios. So we start with a promo. Priest tries to recruit Dom, and then Finn just talks down to Rey Mysterio, and we get a good match that I believe could possibly have main evented WrestleMania in an alternate universe somewhere. But the ring gear matched up visually very well. I really enjoyed the colors of the different ring gear. I like that stuff. So what? Who cares? But Finn gets a win, and Judgment Day are asking, when are you going to join us, Dom? Jimmy, this felt like a match that Judgment Day needed to win, because to me, it felt like they were becoming very forgettable very quickly over the past few weeks.
A little bit, yes, maybe a little bit forgettable, but now they're planting a hell of a seed with them trying to recruit Dominic and getting into his head a little bit. And I like that there was maybe just a little bit of an eye flinch from Dominic, but nothing major, nothing to give anything really away. And if this is the path that they're going to go down, where Dominic eventually decides, hey, listen, the only way I'm going to make it in this business is to get off my dad's coattails and join the other guys. This would be a hell of a moment. And again, I'm thinking way ahead here. Take your time, tell this story. Do not rush it, because I know for a fact that Rey was thrilled to be able to team with his son at WrestleMania. Now, can you imagine how much more gratifying it would be for them to face each other at WrestleMania, and for Rey to do the ultimate in, getting his son over.
I'm going over, pal.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. That could be the beauty of it. He could still get over without going over. Yeah. Dominic, as I say.
The thing about the whole Dom, like Dominic turning on his father, it works the best if it comes out of nowhere. So as long as they keep kind of baiting it, I just feel like it's gonna make it harder to succeed, even if he gets brainwashed and joins and it is part of a group. It works the best if it comes out of nowhere, and that's just so. I feel like I don't know what's gonna happen with this, but I don't want to see him join Judgment Day because I feel like it's just gonna be all in the name of trying to whatever they come up with, stick it to his dad or have his own legacy, own name. So I hope it doesn't happen. But Judgment Day, I gotta say, good to see them getting a win on Raw, and I know they're still kind of they're kind of in the same situation that Alexa was in after Bray Wyatt got let go, and like they're kind of stuck with the magic leftovers, right? They're coming out to the same music. They have to still carry the purple and black. They're carrying the image, but quite frankly, looking at the two of them, looking at Finn and Priest. It doesn't look bad. It especially doesn't look bad when they come out to the whole presentation and then they get a win. So and get to pin a Rey Mysterio. So when I see that, it makes me forget about them being on main event or whatever secondary show. Yeah. So I'm hopeful that they are going to take these leftovers and reheat them properly.
Yeah, and really quickly here, just to jump in, like I have in my notes here, I really did like the look of Damian Priest tonight in that dark suit. It just fit that character so well, and hearing him talk and seeing him in that suit, it just worked.
I was gonna say I want to say I didn't mean any like disrespect to Judgment Day by saying they were getting forgettable, but it felt like they were definitely going to have Rhea Ripley sort of be the front person for a while, and then she got hurt, and then of course they lost a match to the Mysterios, and then I think they were off for a week, and so it was a little bit like, we need to right this ship quickly, and so hopefully this is what gets them right back on the path. We did get a super chat I want to jump to real quick right away. Mr. Meowpuss asks, Money in the Bank being for one title only would be great. I guess didn't ask, but more made the statement, basically implying that the cash-in should be for only the Universal or only the WWE title. I'll be honest, I feel like they've kind of played their hand. I think they need to keep them together personally. Otherwise, it feels like Roman losing it would feel a little wouldn't feel like it has all the gravitas, I guess is the word. Is that the right word? Am I saying it right? I don't know, but it wouldn't feel as heavy as it should after so much buildup. But what say you guys, Justin and Jimmy? Any preference? Should the Money in the Bank be for just one of them and split them back up again?
No, I think, quite frankly, if you're going to have two world titles, which again, right now they technically don't, but if you're going to have two world titles, that's part of the beauty of having this briefcase. That if you're going to go the other 11 months of the year, acknowledging that you have two world titles and both have the gravitas of being the world champion of each show, then absolutely the briefcase should be eligible for both. It's such a pigeonhole creatively if you say it can only be for one or the other. It's even greater and even funnier the fact that they always say that it could be for any title, and every now and again you get somebody who says something funny like, well, maybe I'll challenge for that IC title, because again it keeps value to all your titles. But we all know at the end of the day the world titles are the top thing, and that's of course what you're going to use your opportunity for. But no, Mr. Meowpuss, I think you got to you always want to keep your avenues wide open, because even if you are 90% sure that Theory is going to win this Money in the Bank and we're going to have him cash in for this particular title, Orton gets hurt, Cody gets hurt, we got to bring this guy back. You never know what's going to force you to call an audible, and you want to have that creative flexibility.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I think it depends on a variety of things. But at the same time, I hate to sound like, I'm jumping on board in the Justin train, but he made a lot of sense there. And it makes sense that because now it is technically a unified championship, if you're going to cash in, you're cashing in for the unified championship. I'm not going to take the briefcase down there and challenge somebody and say, hey, I just want the Universal Championship. No, I want the WWE Heavyweight Championship. You're holding both titles. It's a Money in the Bank cash in. I'm cashing in for those titles, the unified championship.
Yeah. And I think just also, Roman Reigns been unbeaten so long, it'd be like a half step in him losing. It'd feel very, I don't know, lame. But if he had both titles for like a month and they just hadn't split them up yet, it'd be different. But for now, at this point, I don't know. Someone who's titleless right now that I want to talk about before we get into the match, Becky Lynch. She comes down to the ring and she says that she doesn't need to cash in the Money in the Bank because she's going to work her way up from the bottom. And even though the powers that be are trying to hold her down, making her jump through hoops, She'll earn her shot because she puts in the work day in and day out. Justin, is Becky Lynch a face that just talks mean? Because this sounds exactly like what a good guy would say, except with a mean voice.
I have no idea.
Are
I
you
don't
guys
know.
reading my notes here? What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, I always say there's a fence. There's a fence. And I hate the term tweeners. I've never liked tweeners. I'm very much I mean, look, I'm a child of going through puberty during the Attitude Era, so I love shades of gray. But I'm still very much in belief that there is a fence, that there's two locker rooms. There's a heel locker room and a face locker room. Which locker room are they in? I don't know. Becky's dressing in a very fancy closet right now. I don't know where she is. And I don't know if the head of creative consulting of Wins and Losses knows where she is. I don't know. She's almost gotten like a little too meta. You know, she almost went from like being like, she was like the Lady Gaga of the women's division to now she's just like, I don't know. She's riddling in circles. I don't know. But to my point, I'll say this: I'm glad that they had her just sitting there ringside for this match because I was like, you know what, Bianca and Carmella gets really good heat. Bianca's obviously over like Rover babyface. They have good matches, but when you put a talent, especially a heel, obviously on commentary, they're just nonstop cutting a promo, and then half the commentary is just geared towards setting them up. And I'm glad that didn't happen because I thought that would have been actually very distracting to a match that was supposed to get us invested, supposed to get us feeling like, holy hell, we got a title match here with a couple close calls. So I'm glad that they just kept Becky off a microphone during the match.
Now, Jimmy, in a lot of ways, the way I described Becky Lynch, the kind of booked like a good guy but talks mean, is what a lot of people would say Stone Cold was someone who kind of booked like a good guy but talked like a jerk. Do you think they're trying for that, or do you think shades of that are happening? Or because I'm with Justin, to be totally honest. I feel like I don't really get what I'm supposed to be getting with Becky. Now, she gets reactions, so I don't get crabby about it, but I don't really feel like I get it. But do you see something there that maybe I'm missing?
No, I think you guys are in the same boat as a lot of people. And you can tell, like you said, from the reaction of the audience, she is presented, not verbally, but she is presented, I believe, as a heel. She's supposed to be a top women's heel on the Raw brand. But at the same time, you can hear that audience wants to cheer her regardless of what she says, whether she talks like a heel or talks like a mean baby face or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. The crowd is on the Becky train. And it sounds like regardless of how they present her right now, they want to cheer her.
And, you know, they have internal lists of who's their top 5 babies, who's their top 5 heels. That's something, right, Jimmy? They keep that kind of they keep those kind of things. I don't know which list she's on, but just to give you a little maybe like potential insight, a couple weeks ago when we had John Cena appreciation, or John Cena appearing on, to cap off the appreciation month, and Cena had that pre-tape of earlier in the day, him showing up to the building, and everybody from talent to producers to janitors were all, it was mostly baby faces that you saw, right? That they didn't put like the baddest heels out there to be standing there clapping. Becky was one of the people they let be lined along the wall, and she did a sarcastic, like in a big time Bex fashion, slow clap. So to me, I was like, all right, well, on that week, I would say that she's on the internal list of being a face because they wouldn't put her in that prominent of a shot if they. But it's really hard to tell. It seems very inconsistent.
Well, we did have a match that Bianca Belair versus Carmella, and Jimmy, I gotta say this: Carmella, I feel like has become very underrated as a feisty competitor in these matchups. I thought she has completely over-delivered since she's come back. When she came back, I was like, okay, this is someone who's kind of filling a role that Rhea Ripley was supposed to be in, but she's hurt, so we're putting someone in this place. But I feel like Carmella has knocked it out of the park. I mean, she gets the win here by count out because Becky gets involved, but she doesn't feel like she's a fill-in anymore. It feels like she legitimately should be in this situation, at least to me. What do you?
No, I agree. And especially watching her lately, it feels like to me that she's been working hard at getting better on her in-ring presentation. And, one of the ways that we used to back in the day is when that schedule was a full schedule and you used to do house shows on, and you're traveling so much, that was repetition was how you got better. because you were in the ring practically every day. And now that they're starting to do house shows again, you can see that it's starting to affect a lot of the in-ring work of a lot of these people, but especially someone like Carmella, who now can work with other people and ask questions and get in the ring and just improve. I think it's starting to show. And like you said, she doesn't feel like a fill-in anymore. She feels like she belongs.
No, she does. And I mean, she gets really good heat. And I think this is also an important component for television, at least. You know, I like the fact that, you know, once upon a time, WWE didn't lean into the real life relationships. That was kind of taboo. We're not going to let anybody know that the boys and girls might be commingling. They've obviously since found that they could profit off reality shows and everything else. And so they lean in and let Corey go all in about his real life wife and Carmella. I almost would say maybe let's take it a step further, because what Corey's doing on commentary is great for the TV audience to like kind of be, he's essentially her heel manager, you know, her heel advocate, doing it to the television audience on commentary. Don't take him off commentary, but I would even allow him to like get up and be ridiculous, get up from the desk and run to the ramp to make the entrance with her, cut a promo to the live crowd to just help get them stirred and riled up and get that temperature up there, and then go ahead and take that temperature and move up and, you know, sit back down the commentary desk and continue doing your work for the millions at home. I would just take that a step further. You know, you could do it even another step further and have him do that at house shows. If he heard me say that, he'd probably slap me, because that means he'd have to go on the road a few more days. But I think you can probably just keep it to TV. But I would do that at TV. I would start making him part of the live event presentation at television on the mic, and then sit back down and do his shenanigans where he's fighting off Byron Saxton and Jimmy Miller.
Yeah, because he does good. He does obnoxious pretty good, actually. I don't think of him when I first think of like the most obnoxious commentary guys, but he's actually pretty obnoxious a lot. And I think that he'd play right into that. Justin, I'm right there with you.
He is the most. I mean, we all have our favorites of who were great heel color commentators, and they all had a different style. Bobby Heenan had a style.
Bobby Heenan, yes,
different from Jerry Lawler, different from Paul Dangerously. But I do think if you listen to approaches, I think Corey is the closest to a Bobby Heenan in the way that he approaches his defense of a heel. In my opinion, which that's a hell of a compliment, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, and Jimmy, I see it. You kind of, I feel like you're not 100% on board with that, but I think maybe he's not as funny as a Heenan, but the approach I think is what Justin's saying, which I think is I would agree with.
But I do agree that, you know, having him go a little bit more overboard when you know, Carmella's out there would be great. Whether it's just like basic cheerleading or whatever the case may be, standing up on the announce table and cheering, rah, sis, boom, but whatever the case may be, just be a little more animated and over the top.
Well, someone who's a little animated and over the top, Miz TV comes on, and we've got Champa, who says he wants the eyes of the people, which is why he's teaming up with the Miz. But the Miz wants to talk about how Logan Paul is just stirring the pot on social media. Then AJ comes out and says Miz has tiny balls, and Ezekiel, having heard the story of Miz's tiny balls from his brother Elias, came out to be AJ's partner, and they have a match, and it's a pretty long one, and it ends with a DQ because Ciampa broke up a submission hold. This is, and Jimmy, I want to go to you on this one. This was a great match. It was a fun matchup, and I said this was friends hanging out, because a lot of these matches had a lot of people who don't necessarily associate with each other kind of in the ring together, which I liked because I felt like it kept it fresh, but also gave guys a little bit of that old little rub, you know, having guys like Ezekiel next to AJ and all that. But as a referee, I was caught off by this DQ a little bit. Now I understand that there's a bit of like, there's rules with tag team. You can't just run any time, but it felt kind of sudden, kind of random. This DQ. Do you have any insight, expert referee analysis to this DQ?
I don't know if I would exactly quantify it as that, but in my opinion, I agree with you. I did not appreciate the disqualification finish the way it was presented. I think it was rushed. It happened too quickly. Yes, he came in and started, you know, beating on AJ, but the rule is there's a 5 count. you know, to and if the referee would have emphasized that 5 count while, you know, Ciampa was laying in the forearms or just going to town on AJ, you know, again, you don't want to overshadow what's going on, but at the same time, you want to let the people know that, hey, I'm counting here. And then the rule makes sense because you did not break before that 5 count. You're in the ring illegally. And there you go. It just seemed like, hey, and there was some beating going on, and it went on for a little bit, and then the bell just rang, and it just felt off. It didn't feel good to me, anyways.
Yeah. So here's 2 prime examples of, you know, like in AEW, as we talk about on Wednesday nights, myself, Jimmy, and Issa, you know, there's going to be a winner no matter what. There's a pinfall or submission no matter what, rightly or wrongly. There's a right way and a wrong way to use countouts and DQs. Let's rewind a second. We didn't actually even talk about the finish. Carmella and Bianca having that kind of a contest, and then Becky finally, in the slightest of ways, in the distraction, calls in Bianca to get counted out. In my opinion, that's a good use of a countout. All right, it's a good use of a screwy, you know, cheap out is what we'll call it. We're not changing the title tonight, but the title holder did not win. The champion didn't win, and Carmella was able to stand up there and act like she should be champion, and Corey's selling it. That was a good use of the bending of the rules. But then we go to this next match, and then we get this competitive multi-segment match, 4 guys and they could go all 3 hours if they had to in a tag match situation, quite frankly. And we get the DQ finish, and it was just it came off sloppy. It just came off really like almost like they had to throw this together last minute, and then nobody got to think things through and question or better find an alternative. I don't know, but it was sloppy. It was a perfect yin and yang to here's a good count out, here's a good use of a count out, here's a bad use of a DQ.
Yeah.
No, and I was gonna say that's a good point, bringing up the previous match. I had a rushed finish there. I had to get through to the next segment, but but you're right, because that way. Now they can build off that. We can get Carmella getting a rematch, a championship match, whatever. But it also doesn't hurt Bianca really. But at the same time, I think what maybe rubbed me the wrong way about this one too is I think that Miz's last 4 matches have ended in non-finishes, which now I go into a Miz match sort of prepared for this isn't going to end in
expecting it.
Yeah, it's not going to matter. It's going to be either he's just going to lose, or it's going to be a blow off, or whatever, or it's going to be not a blow off, but just kind of a nothing finale. But then also, Jimmy, to your point, if you just done the 5 count, I think I would have been like, oh, but because it ended, there was a little bit of that, wait, what happened? But
it just felt like it was out of nowhere, as opposed to, he's going to get disqualified if he doesn't stop before the 5 count, and have the announcers tell that story. And if I could just jump back really quickly, there was one thing before the match started that I really enjoyed that you guys mentioned was Ciampa, Tommaso saying that he is associating with Miz so he can get noticed. I love that he said that, because, it's why he's with Miz. And like you said, it's why, Ezekiel was with AJ. Those guys are there now to elevate other talent, and that's exactly what he said.
Jimmy, feet to the fire. People have been saying that they thought Ciampa was going to join Judgment Day. Do you think he's better off with Judgment Day or with Miz?
No, I like him better with Miz, because it's almost like, and I hate to use this reference, it's almost like AEW constantly signing AEW former WWE talent to their roster just because they're available. Just because Ciampa was available and we've had a history there before doesn't mean he has to go there. Let him be something different. Let him, he will get noticed maybe a little more with Miz.
And look at the Miz's track record.
Yeah.
Miz has had a hell of a career of having, buddy 1 minute, and the next thing, deceit and trust issues, and everybody's been better off for it more often than not. So, I would rather be the one guy who's in the storyline with the Miz waiting for the big blow off and payoff to happen versus I'm going to be another guy in a stable that is already kind of just Judgment Day is already Judgment Day 2.0,
right?
When they kicked Edge out, and it seemed like they decided to call an audible there.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think most people who have worked with Miz would say that was probably one of the better times in their career. So probably not a bad thing to be teamed up with the Miz, especially at this point in his career. We move on to another segment. It's a tag team match. It's Alexa Bliss and Asuka teaming to face Doudrop and ASH. And even though Doudrop and ASH have matching gear, they get put away pretty easily. And two wrestlers in Asuka and Bliss both need the win. They both get the win. Justin, I don't think there was a whole lot of depth to this. I think we just need Asuka and Bliss to get a win, and Doudrop and Nikki ASH are the kind of the Katana Chance and Caden Carter of Raw Women's Tag Team. If you watch NXT 2.0,
yeah, I didn't take. I noticed Corey Graves kind of at one point on Alexa Bliss saying that she's not the same Alexa Bliss. She's so that was interesting. What the subtext is supposed to be there. If that was a production meeting note to try to get that aspect over, I don't know. But yeah, this was kind of. I'll be honest. And obviously, I love the women wrestling, just as I said earlier with Bianca and Carmella. But I was very disengaged. I was taking notes, but this is where I started scrolling social media. This is where I refilled my cup. They didn't hold my attention a lot. I heard enough to tell you what Corey's telling in commentary, but I wasn't overly concerned about the finish and how this was going to affect my life.
It did actually catch me out because I noticed what you said too, that he kept talking about how this isn't the same Alexa Bliss. I thought that she was going to attack Asuka after the match, but they just left chummy and pally. Jimmy, do you think this is going to be their lead into the women's tag team titles again, or is this a one-off? Or do you have anything else to take from this? Because I didn't really have much.
No, see, and that's the thing. You don't know what to take from this. You're left wondering at the end of the match, what did this all mean? And when you're thinking that, the crowd told you everything you need to know. Again, they were quiet for this match, especially at the finish, and they kind of like, well, I get we saw the baby faces win, but what does it mean at the end of the day? And that's the big question. What does it all mean at the end of the day? And it felt like it left you questioning, what was it for?
Justin, if you're questioning what's it for after a win, did the win really matter? If a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great, that sums it up. Is if you don't know why, you just watch the contest. The famous Howard Finkel would start the following contest is set for 1 foot. It's a contest. It's a competition. It's a match. But if you don't even know why it's happening, that's bad.
Well, something that I think we all are figuring out why it's happening, but it's still fun to play the guessing game. We're getting mysterious promos of someone walking by, a Latino Heat license plate cover. We got a RKO shirt. We've got gold medals. Jimmy, who could this possibly be?
No, to me, it's feeling more and more like Edge every week. And like you said, we saw the RKO. We saw burning Mick Foley. I guess it was a Mick Foley flannel shirt, that sort of thing.
From Mania.
So it and there was one figure walking, and it looked like they had a haircut, but still reminded me of my old Canadian buddy there.
Justin, everyone is saying that this is Edge, and it looks like it probably is Edge. But I want to ask you the counterpoint. Is there anyone you can think of that it could logically be other than Edge? It still fits these clues.
No, because they've showed too many of the clues that match it up. The burning of Mick Foley's flannel from when Edge spears Foley in the table in Mania, and they show you an RKO shirt and an Orton and Edge, and they show Cena and Edge and Cena. We're too far. It's too blunt. The case I would make, the very first teaser we got, I think, during Money in the Bank. Because Issa and I were on here talking. The only other one I could say was there was a case you could make for Bray Wyatt early on the very vague clips, because you saw Kurt Angle, and I believe Angle, when Bray reinvented and went to the Fiend, the crazy creepy music and that crazy siren that would happen and Fiend would just appear. He took out Kurt. He took out some. There was some other people that you could draw the line, and of course just the dark gothic look, but they've gone it's too blunt. It's obvious it's Edge. It's obvious it's Edge. So the next intrigue is, which version of Edge is this? Edge has been very big. Edge. I think of Edge There's a lot of parallels here. I think of Edge a lot like a Jericho in the sense that they know they have to reinvent themselves to stay relevant, especially being in the game as long as they have. They're also both big music heads, and they know that some of the most successful bands and artists, they are able to reinvent. And I always think Aerosmith's a great example. So I think Edge might know. Look, he was already trying to get away from the "On This Day I See," that Alter Bridge song. Reinvented
terrible choice to get away from that.
Well, a great song.
Yes.
Great song. But she tried to do the new Alter Bridge song, do the Judgment Day. We call the audible for whatever reason there. So if he's going to reinvent, is what was old new again? Does he take a new interpretation of the Brood entrance? Because this video has a lot of dark. We see like a chalice. We see red blood or whatever. So he paid a little tribute to the Brood. It was last SummerSlam. So I'm wondering, will he reinvent by reaching back and pulling in a mixture of something nostalgic? Wrestling fans love nostalgia. It's why the old school Raw shows always do well, to see the old sets, to see the refs and the bow ties, to hear old musics, anything. We love nostalgia because if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a wrestling fan who's watching every week, chances are you're a hardcore fan. You're not a casual fan who's just scrolling social media or scrolling YouTube. If you're watching every week, you're a fan that's been watching from some length of time. And if you're all of us, we all, Jimmy lived it, but we all grew up through certain. So that nostalgia, it gives us that smell. It makes us think of Monday night when we were in a freshman in high school. Monday night here. You think about these old times, and so that's when nostalgia pushes a button. So I wonder if Edge is going to push a button of nostalgia with a 2022 spin on it.
Why do we have to have heat now, Justin? Because you're saying you're a freshman in high school during the Attitude Era, and I was like right in the middle of it. So never mind. Anyways,
no, we actually have more. We actually have more heat. I wasn't a freshman in high school until 2001.
Ooh.
So that was now we're into the almost into the ruthless aggression. Yeah, when you were getting married in 99, I was in middle school.
Okay. And I got married late. Never mind. Okay.
Well, before to pull back,
I call you my friend, but I guess biologically and the family tree of you could be like a father. You're like Uncle Jimmy,
a father figure.
Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
You're Uncle Jimmy. Oh, hey.
I'll take that.
Speaking of Uncle Jimmy, we had the Usos and the Street Profits in the ring tonight. And what started off as a pretty straightforward, feel like I've seen it a bunch of times, Usos and Street Profits promo, R-Truth shows up, and he does, as always, some great comedy before getting called a clown. And suddenly he wants to fight with his partners, of course. Then Omos shows up, and we get a 6-man tag as they scream, "Remember the Alamo," before the fight. It's a fun one that ends with Omos pinning Dawkins for the bad guys to get the win. Again, Jimmy, this is a situation where you've got people who don't typically interact kind of hanging together, kind of palling around. And I think everyone came out better for it. This was a fun one. I don't think this match really is going to be talked about in 10 years, but
no,
as a summer Monday Night Raw, to Justin's point, this feels like one of those unpredictable fun ones.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but it felt a little bit like a filler too, as well. Like you said, what is the connection with Omos and the Usos? Yes, just to make it a 6-man tag match, that sort of thing. And it almost felt like the premise behind this match was to get that build back on Omos and start to create that giant again, that monster again, that kind of got taken away a little bit at Money in the Bank. But at the same time, here's our opportunity now to make him look like a threat. That's what it felt like to me. I guess we're going to get more from Street Profits and the Usos, but at the same time, hopefully that ends that rivalry.
Yeah, we've seen that for a bit. But Justin, does Omos standing with the Usos make you start to think of Omos and Roman Reigns potentially?
Maybe subconsciously. Look, I mean, standing next to the Usos can't hurt. I mean, it can't hurt. What I liked about this is this was a lot of filler, but I figured, we've seen so much of the Usos and Street Profits, which is very good, but we've seen a lot of it. What I liked about this is, look, if you have Ron Killings on your roster, if you have R-Truth on your roster, and he's there at TV every week, and thank God it's been X amount of weeks I haven't seen the 24/7 title. he can do anything. R-Truth is so versatile, and he actually has credibility. This is also a guy, mind you, he main evented like some Survivor Series with The Rock and The Miz and John Cena. Like, this is not a guy who's been a lifetime, comedy guy. He has been around for so long, and I like that. Okay, let's not take the comedy chops away from him. If the comedy is what he does, let's don't take his fastball from him, but let's have the fastball go to a batter that matters. So let's, rather than having him involved in, I'm sorry, Tamina and Akira Tozawa, rather than having the comedy to filler comedy pre-tapes, okay, Street Profits, Usos, Omos, all, well, Usos aren't a project, but they're all like key acts right now. Okay, put R-Truth out there in that. Let his comedy and let his veteran, both to the audience's acknowledgement of, okay, he's a vet, he's got some credibility, and both also, and then also internally have him work out a 6-man match and give Omos some tips, which I'm sure he did before the match, and I'm sure he was in Omos's ear after the match of, here's what you did right, here's what you did wrong. This was just a good, so it was filler, but it was good from an internal standpoint. It was good use of R-Truth. Put him out there with pardon my French. Put him out there with some shit that matters.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Justin, you and I we're on the same page all night tonight here, because I agree. If only
I had your hair.
It's all I have left, Justin. No, but we have it was kind of cool to see him in something that, and again, this isn't the end all be all match, but in the ring with people that have stakes, that matter, that have been doing big things, and to see him interact with them, it both made it more funny, and it both made it feel like it mattered more, and it made it feel like his interactions, they mattered more. They were heavier. Like his jokes at the Usos' expense were funny, like, but also it was like, he's gonna really piss him off though. What's gonna happen there? It was, to me, it was a lot more entertaining than it definitely than I would have thought it would have been for any other combination of stuff they would have done here.
No, but you couldn't give a bigger compliment to someone like an R-Truth, because R-Truth is very good at getting the audience drawn in, getting people invested in what he's doing, saying, regardless of whether it's comedy or whatever the case may be, whether he's fighting or making you laugh. R-Truth gets a reaction, and that's the big thing.
I want to say what's up every time he comes out, by the way. Even in my living room by myself, I sound like, what's up with him. I'm unbearable if we're in the show together. Like at the arena, in my living room, I'm unbearable too. But we get to the main event, and it is Riddle and Lashley versus Theory and Rollins. And this one is it's a great matchup, as you'd expect. But clearly, Justin, the story is Dolph Ziggler walks out halfway through. We go to commercial break. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, this is great TV. This is how they should be ending these Raws. What's he doing out here? He's sitting there at ringside watching these guys destroy each other. And then he just knocks off Theory's feet from the ropes, which I think surprises everybody. Super kicks Theory. And we go off air with him holding his hand up above a knocked out Austin Theory. Justin, this is how Raw is supposed to end. What's going on?
It's actually a little bit of an interesting experiment, because like, we've talked about it. The first hour of Raw is always what's the highest rated. It's kind of like that's where you catch maybe some casuals, you catch some what have you, and then anybody who's hanging on to the third hour is like us. We're all just kind of we're programmed to watch no matter what. I still think this third hour is gonna be the lowest viewed. However, let's watch a different metric. Let's take a look at YouTube video. Let's see the video of Dolph super kicking Theory after the match. Let's see how that does. Is it one of the most viewed videos on their YouTube channel or on their social medias and such? That might tell us something of, okay, did buzz spread? Did word spread? And look, it was fun, because otherwise you go into this main event, you got 4 guys all very relevant right now, but what's the stakes? What's it matter? So having Dolph unadvertised surprisingly come out, Dolph, who's been a heel for the last several years, having him out there of what is he doing there, whose side is he on, kind of thing, that did add an intrigue. That did make me now lean forward in my chair and watch what is he doing here? So this was a good choice by whoever made that choice to add some intrigue to what otherwise could have been just a generic phone it in. Let's get to the end of the show.
And Jimmy, the fact that he came out and attacked Theory, I think, is what really made it interesting. I think if he had come out and super kicked Riddle, we'd go, okay, this is going to be a good guy versus bad guy. We kind of see how this is playing out. Or if he attacked Lashley, you'd say, oh, he's trying to get a U.S. title shot. What's this all about? But when he went after Theory, it totally flipped everything upside down. And now I'm fascinated to see how they explain what's going on with this.
Exactly. And like to Justin's point, next week on Raw, they need to kick off the show with Dolph Ziggler coming out and explaining himself and explaining exactly what he did. And the way they presented this, let's just say for now, this face turn or like switching sides, whatever the case may be, I thought was done very well with Theory trying to pin with his feet on the ropes and Dolph coming and knocking him off. Right away, that's the first thing you think of is, wait a minute, what's he doing? He's not helping them. It got people it got people perked up, and you could see the audience in the background kind of going, oh, wait a minute. And then at the end with the super kick, they were on board. They were behind Dolph Ziggler. And he did his job perfectly. And the whole look with the suit was a little bit different. And again, like I said, next week's going to be interesting. Like, I hope they kick off the show with him coming out.
Well, and it's a waste if you don't, because to take Jimmy's point further, you kick it off next week. Because again, we all know 8 o'clock, that the first segment, the first hour is always the best. Kick it off with Dolph, and he's going to even show, here's what you missed. And so there's gonna be people that are gonna watch next week and go, oh, I didn't see that. I tuned out. I stopped watching by that point. And it's micro, but it can add up if you build upon it. People are gonna say, oh, I missed out on that thing that happened at the end of the show. Dolph came back and he turned and he super kicked Austin Theory. You hope that starts to add up to, well, maybe I should watch until the end. Maybe something, Now it's also in WWE. They have to continue to give you reason so that they could squander it in a matter of a week or two by just giving you a main event segment that doesn't mean much. But to Jimmy's point, you start next week hot off for Raw with Ziggler out there, and I suspect if I had to write it that it's going to be something to the point of, brother, you think that you can just sit here and tout your good looks at your young age, take a selfie, and have Mr. McMahon out here? I've been around. I'm the longest tenured full-time participant of this roster, which is a truth. Only because our truth took a little time away. Dolph and Miz are the longest tenured people you have on that roster as full-time people, and I think Dolph could throw that right back in Theory's face and say, "You're not gonna. You might cash that in someday, and good on you." But I'm gonna make your ass work before you cash that thing in. You're gonna go through me, who I had to pay every due possible.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because my history sometimes is fuzzy. But didn't Dolph have one hell of a cash in on the Money in the Bank briefcase many years ago?
I believe he did.
Yeah, was it on a Monday night, on a particular Monday night, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't remember when he cashed in, but I remember him having the briefcase.
Yeah. I thought he had one hell of a cash in, so maybe that ties into it somehow. Again, looking forward to the explanation.
But that's the beauty of it. I can guess, but that's all it is. And it's not as, like I said, it's not as simple as if he kicked Lashley, where we go, okay, he's trying to either just help. It's just another guy helping Theory, or he's trying to get a title shot or whatever. But this is, now I'm like, this is something's up. I'm very curious to see how it goes. And what's great about where Dolph Ziggler is too is it can be he could either get pushed to the moon and be another great guy that we're all cheering for the next few months as people come back from being hurt. It could be a 1 month, give Theory a bunch of matches of his life to like really establish him as an in-ring competitor and then be gone again. Whatever he does, it's going to be great. That's kind of where Dolph is right now. So the expectations aren't super high, but at the same time, they have the ceiling is what I mean. Like it doesn't have to be big, but it could be big if that makes sense.
Well, and it also tells you that the company still values Dolph. Look, if we just had Cena who kind of teased that maybe we'll have Cena Theory eventually, but apparently not going to happen at SummerSlam.
Right.
In theory, he's going to challenge Bobby again, but he still has this cash in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we still have the stadium shows that follow. So for them to be bringing Dolph back into the fold of Monday Night Raw, it shows the company still has faith in Dolph. That Dolph's not John Cena, but we need somebody credible who can bump like crazy, who can get the audience on their feet, to oppose our young stud who is our future in theory. So that says a lot about what they think about Dolph.
Absolutely. And to those in the chat who are saying, yes, he cashed in on the Monday night after Mania against Alberto. And I if I'm not mistaken, it was in New Jersey. And that crowd went absolutely banana.
It's terrible. That was 2013 and I was there and I totally forgot. I couldn't even remember the date, but I was there.
Yeah. I remember because I was sitting in the crowd with Kyle Edwards at the time. So
Who?
That
race car driver.
Yeah.
I can never. I'm very bad at remembering dates and when things happened. I know they happened, but if you ask me, like, when did Goldberg and Brock Lesnar happen at Mania? Like 29. I don't know. I think it's 25, right? 20.
Goldberg. Who? Say again.
Goldberg Brock at Mania. When was there?
Goldberg Brock. That was 32.
Wow.
Goldberg Brock was the same one in Orlando that Roman beat Taker. My numbers get fuzzy because they stopped marketing the numbers for Mania.
Right.
I can't remember any of it. I'm very bad at that. I remember the matches, but I don't remember. If I was on a game show and you asked me like when these happened, I'd be terrible.
It was. I'm great prior to 30 because they marketed the damn numbers, and I've been at all of them, so they're all fuzz. Goldberg Brock was whichever one was at Orlando with the theme park entrance.
I was at the most recent one. And I forgot what number it was. By the way, I was like, is that 39 or 38? It's 38, huh? Yeah. Okay. So it's but in any case, that does it for us. That's the Raw show. Thank you guys so much for chatting with me about it. Thanks for everyone who's joined us in the chat, whether it be Bernie DC, Gregory, Vinny, Tornado NY, Tornado Anthony Y, RYN, Bernie DC. I said twice, but Dylan Matthews. And as I scroll up really quick, Megan Harden, Samantha, Stream City, all of you guys, thank you so much for joining us. That does it for us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the NXT 2.0 after show right here. And on Wednesday, the Dynamite after show right here, as well as the SmackDown and Rampage after show on Friday. Always after shows every single day. Just follow at Wrestling Inc. on social media and follow us on social media as well. I'm at Real Jack Farmer. He's at Justin LaBar and he's at Jimmy Korderas, right? I can't see on my screen here. Okay, but follow us on social media. Thanks for being on, guys. Anything you guys want to plug about yourself before we close out?
No, not simple. You can check out all my social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be, because I do my daily ref and rants there. And they're only a minute long and they're supposed to be fun, guys. Let's have some fun critiquing what we love.
I start my days with Jimmy's ref and rants. I drink my coffee alongside him. It's like my way to have 60 seconds of drinking coffee with him. And so watch his ref and rants, buy the t-shirt. Also, tweet at all of us. Let us know how you're listening to the podcast. I know Jack's given the YouTube people in the chat, but there's Twitch, there's Facebook, there's Periscope, and then all of you that maybe check out the audio only after the fact because that might be more conducive to your commute or your whatever. Tweet at any of us. Tell us where you are in the world, how you're listening, why you're listening. I love to retweet those and just see how you're consuming. Some people are at work, some people are doing house chores, some people are driving. It's fascinating to hear what people are doing to take in this and the fact that we're entertaining them for the last hour and 9 minutes. So that's awesome.
Dylan says he watches via LinkedIn.
Okay.
But I have a feeling he's joking. But thanks again for everyone for watching along. We appreciate it. We'll see you all tomorrow on NXT 2.0. And as Justin says, let us know how you're watching, and you can do that on social media with all.
Thanks to HelloFresh. Send us some more food.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's actually really good.
Thanks, HelloFresh.
I'm gonna go back to the chicken, I think, next time. But
the breaded chicken.
You had the breaded chicken. Good.
No, the breaded chicken. We had the breaded chicken. It was Anyway, never mind.
Well, we'll let you all go. Thanks so much for joining us. Try HelloFresh. Why don't you?